Scott, off the top of your head, what are the biggest movies that have gone straight to streaming?
Coda, Tick Tick Boom, Mitchell's versus the Machines. That's probably all. Oh, I mean, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, I think is a good example of that too. But yeah, I mean, there's to me, as someone who loves movies, most movies that end up on streaming don't have all the elements that make them worthy of going to the movie theater. I mean, I think we would have seen Coda in a movie theater if it wasn't for the pandemic. But I think a lot of these movies, again, I don't mean to crap on Netflix when I say this, is that Netflix to me is the most guilty of all this, is that they have movies, so many movies that have right elements, but they never have the movie. They never have the movie that embodies everything. So Irishman, there's a great movie there, not at 3 hours. There's a great movie there somewhere at 2. It's like you have to have control of that. Mank, there's a great movie there. Don't know where it is. It's lost somewhere. But they have them. They just need to kind of like have more. I know we want creative control for our filmmakers, but you have to sometimes look at a cut of a movie and kind of say, this doesn't work. Even a movie like The Prom, which is I would say is a streaming movie that I actually really wished went to movie theaters. That movie is even 20 minutes too long. And I think there's a struggle with a lot of streaming platforms is this creative freedom of being able to make the movie that they want, but it doesn't really hold up to a moviegoer because there's elements to it that maybe we as film critics or industry professionals like the fact that, oh yeah, look at this. He really had the time to fill out the scene and like it goes on. And yeah, like that works, but to an average person, you're gonna watch this and you're like, why is this scene still going? I'm so bored. Like, come on, move this along. And I think that's something that struggles a lot with streaming movies. The one thing that I will say positively about Netflix with streaming is that they really have reinvented the romantic comedy. What they have done for that genre is great because they inspired a group of young filmmakers to kind of start off telling these cute rom-com movies. And that's something that we lost in the Hollywood system. There's so few good rom-coms. And I've watched so many of them on Netflix and even like the other streaming platforms. Like Hulu had one called The Fire Island a couple weeks ago. And that was really good too.
What's the best rom-com?
Best rom-com. I mean, we have to go with the classic, right? When Harry Met Sally. I mean, Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, can't beat that. And then I guess closely followed up by Pretty Woman.
So it's been a couple decades then since.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have. I love rom-coms, but like, there's not that many of them that feel all that special. So, speaking of which, one that actually does come to mind is Set It Up, which is actually a Netflix movie. And that's with Zoe Deutsch and Glenn Powell. I think that's one of the most charming ones that I've seen in recent memory.
How would you compare your excitement level for streaming movies versus theatrical movies?
I know this contradicts something that I said earlier about you don't have to see every movie in a theater. But there is something exciting about a movie having a marketing campaign. So when you see a movie and there's something to build towards it, and seeing that on the big screen and going to a movie theater and seeing a poster or seeing a standee, it adds to it. That gets really lost with streaming movies because Bo Burnham jokes about this all the time. Like, there's movies and TV shows and there's content. I feel like a lot of what's on streaming is content. It's not really good enough to be labeled as a movie or good enough to be labeled as a TV show, but really like the kind of some stuff that you would watch just to pass the time. So while there have been some good stuff, both movies and TV shows on stream, I mean, TV shows, there's no question. On streaming platforms, killing it. I mean, movies on streaming platforms are not there yet. TV shows are long past. I mean, some of the best stuff that you can watch right now are TV shows on streamers, whether it's Severance, whether it's Stranger Things, they're Squid Game, they're there. Movie-wise, theaters is still where it's at. And then every once in a while, you'll have the exception to a rule. So to answer your question, definitely theatrical movies because of the campaign. There's a hype around it. You get excited. You get to, oh my God, a trailer's dropping. Oh my God, a poster dropped. Oh my God, casting news. You get to see all of this. And yes, you get the trades right about the streaming movies. And yes, you get a trailer for that, but there's no event. It doesn't feel like anyone's coming together. Going to the movies is an event. And when you have a movie, whether it's a Black Adam or a Nope, that's like you feel it. There's a build up to it. You're like, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait. Oh, look, there's a trailer coming out for The Gray Man. Oh, okay. I'll see it when I see it.
And also too, the half hour in the theater before it starts, when people are finding their seats, or nowadays we have assigned seating, and there's an anticipation, and you also too kind of like look around, and I wonder how they're going to react to it. I wonder if they're going to like it. You know, are they going to leave? Or, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. And again, something about film festivals that make it special. Just like going to a premiere, going to a film festival is a very unique experience because you're seeing a lot of these things for the first time. So the reaction you're getting are very natural, and you don't know what people are going to expect. They have really no trailers going into the movie. Sometimes there's not even images. There's usually just a plot description and maybe one image. And you walk into something and it's completely clean. You have no expectations. So in that regard, that's part of that experience that makes it special. But when you go to a regular movie theater, right, it's the crowd around you. Do they laugh at certain moments? Do they cry at certain moments? Are they reacting? And then trailers. I mean, I hate to say this, but as much as every time I get an email about a trailer, I click on it and I look at it on my phone, trailers play differently on the big screen. So when I sit there and I'm watching 30 minutes of trailers, I'm really starting, like, sometimes I really like go, wow, that looked better now. Like I watched that on my computer and I was like, but now I'm watching on the big screen, that looks great. And other times I kind of go, oh yeah, that looks just as crappy here. But at the same time, like that's something that is part of the experience. And you get to see like, oh, what am I going to get hyped up for next? You lose that on streaming. Once the streaming movie ends, right, you get a little thing on the bottom. Do you want to watch Dope Sick? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to watch Dope Sick right now. Nah, it's all right. But yeah, that's what it is. You almost like, the theatrical experience is so special for so many reasons because it's a shared experience. But also, there's a build up to it. You literally get to go to a movie, get to see a bunch of trailers and kind of go, ooh, that looks good. And then you hear someone else go, oh, that looks like shit. I don't want to see that. You know, and it's great. It's that, but it sets up the next one. Oh, I'm going to come to the theater again to see, Black Adam. All right, great. What are you going to see after Black Adam? Oh, look, they just showed a Don't Worry Darling trailer. Okay, I'm going to go see that next. You don't get that. You don't get that with streaming. It's lost. It's lost. And it also, the discovery of things in theatrical is so much longer, right? It's like people go to see movies multiple times in theaters and they talk about it like, oh, I went back to see Thor for the second time and I had a better experience, or man, those negatives that I had, even worse the second time around. Streaming is like people watch it once and that's it, they're done. And you're forced, is this so important about theatrical, is that you don't pause. You have to sit and you have to experience it in one sitting. You might have to go to the bathroom and get up and leave and miss something in the movie. But you have to pay attention to it. When you're at home, and again, so much stuff is out there, you're going to pause at 9 times. Oh, the door's ringing. Hey, you hungry? You want a snack? Let's go into the kitchen, get that. You're really like, if you want a snack in the movie theater and you're really in a really good movie, there's like a pause. Like, I really want popcorn, but this movie's really good. So I don't think I'm going to get up right now. So that's, I think, all those elements are why theatrical is better.
Sure. I mean, there'd be a few times where you're like, you know what? This is due at Blockbuster tomorrow. I'll watch it one more time.
Yeah,
I really want to get my money's worth, you know?
Yeah.
But that was rare. Yeah, it was like one and done sort of thing. But I agree.
Yeah, the streaming stuff is just, there's so few things that I watch on streaming where like I immediately have a reaction of wanting to watch it again. It's just very few and far between.
What do you think about The Gray Man having is it a 1 week theatrical run?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is Netflix's approach to playing nice with the theaters. I think being a disruptor for so many years has really kind of come back and bit them in the ass. And again, don't get me wrong, they've done so much in terms of content and then TV shows, creating so many great iconic TV shows. You know, their whole platform was pretty much launched on House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. But they really did set the bar of kind of like, we're going to produce our own movies, we're going to produce our own TV shows, and they're going to be on our platform and our platform only, and we own the rights to them, and we don't need theaters, and we don't need this. And they sort of had to figure out a solution because they wanted to be part of the awards conversation. And the way that they did it, because of the Academy rules, is that they said, you only have to play in one theater in New York and LA, and you have to play for a week. So they did the bare minimum. And when you start having movies with these big actors, whether it's Red Notice, whether it's The Gray Man, you're not going to have that same experience watching it on Netflix at home as you are in a theater. Because these movies are made, like these are directors and stars who like make movies that are there for a theater. You hire the Russo brothers and they're going to get 1 week, and it's not even playing at AMC or Regal. It's only playing at Cinemark because they haven't negotiated their contracts yet of getting it, because they don't know what's going to happen. And also, they disrupted the industry for so long that people are like, I don't think as willing to play with them. Like they want to come to the sandbox now and be like, hey, can I have your shovel? And I want to dig with you. And people are a little bit more resistant to it. And I think, sadly, that does a lot of these movies a great disservice, because I think they would play better. When you have a movie like A Power of the Dog, which, for the record, I didn't care that much about, but it has an audience. It was the type of movie that you would see at your small independent theater. I always use the Laemmle in Encino. Like the one where like I feel like the 50-somethings always go to, and like they go to on an afternoon and they sit there. And, you know, and Ginny and Bob sit there and they go, oh, what do you want to see? I feel like that movie would have played there for like months, right? It just would have been like there for months, and they would have went to see it, and they would have told, you know, Rosie and Jack to see it, and everyone would have came and seen it. You don't really have that with Netflix movies, is that they get the 1 week, they come in, and again, for people who are not like me, who are obsessed with movies and like the experience, people are just watching it. It's just another movie. That's what we often forget. It's just another movie. It's just another, like as soon as you see this, it's on to the next one. And the average person doesn't care if they're watching it on their phone or that. But again, if you want to create an experience and you want more people talking about it, that's why theatrical is so important. And it's going to be, I think it's going to take a lot of time before Netflix gets it. They're going to try for Knives Out too. That's the one they have to push. They already got the green light to premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. They're going to have to really push that for theatrical because the first one was a theatrical movie and people know what it is. So that's going to be their test run of how to get people off the couch from watching Netflix to theaters. But I really do wonder how many theaters are actually going to play it.